Noam Chomsky's Rethinking Camelot takes a critical look at the Kennedy administration, offering a perspective that challenges the mainstream narrative. He questions the popular image of idealism and hope that is often associated with that era, suggesting that it masks deeper issues. Chomsky, a renowned political activist and scholar, dissects the myths surrounding President John F. Kennedy, particularly focusing on his administration's role in escalating the Vietnam War. He scrutinizes the decisions made and their far-reaching consequences. Chomsky argues that the Camelot narrative, a term often used to describe the romanticized view of the Kennedy years, obscures a more complex and troubling reality. This narrative, he suggests, has been carefully constructed to maintain a certain image. He contends that JFK's decisions regarding Vietnam were far from heroic and instead reflected a dangerous Cold War mentality. These decisions, according to Chomsky, were driven by a desire to assert American dominance. The book delves into declassified documents and historical records to support Chomsky's claims. These documents revealed the behind-the-scenes strategies and motivations that shaped the administration's policies. He argues that Kennedy's actions in Vietnam were driven by a desire to contain communism, even at the cost of human life. This perspective challenges the more sanitized versions of history often taught. Through meticulous research and sharp analysis, Chomsky encourages readers to look beyond the surface and grapple with the complexities of this pivotal period in American history. His work invites a re-examination of the narratives we accept and the truths we overlook. Chomsky argues that JFK's involvement in Vietnam was far more extensive and troubling than commonly portrayed. He suggests that the popular narrative often overlooks the depth of Kennedy's commitment to the conflict. He presents evidence suggesting that Kennedy significantly increased military advisors in Vietnam, a move that many historians believe was a precursor to full-scale military intervention, laying the groundwork for deeper US involvement in the conflict. This escalation, according to Chomsky, was a deliberate strategy to ensure American dominance in the region. Chomsky challenges the notion that JFK intended to withdraw from Vietnam, arguing that such claims are not supported by the available evidence, pointing to his administration's support for the overthrow of South Vietnamese President Nguyen Diem. This coup, Chomsky asserts, was a clear indication of Kennedy's commitment to maintaining a pro-American government in South Vietnam. This action, Chomsky argues, demonstrates a willingness to intervene directly in Vietnamese affairs. It also highlights the lengths to which the Kennedy administration was willing to go to achieve its objectives. He contends that JFK's actions in Vietnam were part of a larger pattern of US interventionism in the Third World. This pattern, Chomsky believes, was driven by a desire to control global political dynamics. Chomsky argues that the Kennedy administration, driven by Cold War anxieties, sought to suppress revolutionary movements and prop up undemocratic regimes deemed favorable to US interests. This approach, he claims, was a hallmark of US foreign policy during the era. Chomsky's analysis paints a picture of a president deeply entangled in the quagmire of Vietnam, making decisions that would have long-lasting consequences for both the US and Vietnam. Contrary to the image of a reluctant warrior often associated with Kennedy, instead, Chomsky portrays him as a proactive leader, deeply involved in the strategic decisions that escalated the conflict. Beyond his critique of JFK, Chomsky uses Rethinking Camelot to examine US political culture more broadly. He argues that the American public is often misled by political rhetoric and media narratives that serve powerful interests. Chomsky criticizes the role of the media in perpetuating myths and shaping public opinion. He argues that the media often acts as a mouthpiece for the government, uncritically accepting official narratives and marginalizing dissenting voices. He introduces the concept of manufactured consent, arguing that the government and powerful institutions manipulate public opinion through propaganda and the control of information. Chomsky contends that this manipulation allows for the pursuit of policies that benefit the elite at the expense of the majority. Chomsky's analysis of US political culture highlights the importance of critical thinking, media literacy, and active citizenship in a functioning democracy. While Chomsky's work is undeniably thought-provoking, it is not without its critics. Some historians argue that he oversimplifies the complexities of the Vietnam War and JFK's role in it. They point to evidence suggesting that Kennedy was grappling with the dilemmas of Vietnam and may have been considering a withdrawal had he not been assassinated. Critics also suggest that Chomsky's focus on US agency downplays the role of Vietnamese actors and internal divisions within Vietnam. Others argue that Chomsky's view of the media is overly cynical and ignores instances where journalists have challenged official narratives and held power to account. They contend that the media landscape is more diverse and less monolithic than Chomsky suggests. Despite these criticisms, Chomsky's work remains essential reading for anyone seeking to understand the Vietnam War, the Kennedy administration, and the dynamics of power in American society. Section 5: The Enduring Myths of Camelot. Rethinking Camelot compels us to confront the enduring myths surrounding the Kennedy presidency. The book challenges the romanticized view of JFK as a beacon of hope and progress. Chomsky argues that this mythologizing of the Kennedy era serves to obscure the darker realities of his administration's policies, particularly in Vietnam. He encourages readers to engage in a more critical and nuanced examination of this period, moving beyond simplistic narratives. By deconstructing the Camelot myth, Chomsky aims to foster a more informed and critical understanding of American history and the use of power. He challenges readers to question received wisdom and to critically evaluate the narratives presented by those in positions of authority. Section 6: The Vietnam War, a Legacy of Deception. Chomsky's work sheds light on the Vietnam War as a defining moment in American history, one marked by deception and the erosion of public trust. His meticulous research uncovers the layers of misinformation that were fed to the American public. He argues that the American public was misled about the reasons for US involvement in Vietnam. The narrative of defending democracy was a facade for more sinister motives. He highlights the Gulf of Tonkin incident, in which the Johnson administration used a dubious naval encounter to justify escalating the war, as a prime example of this deception. This incident was pivotal in shaping public opinion and policy. Chomsky argues that the Vietnam War was driven by imperial ambitions and a desire to contain communism, rather than by the noble goals often espoused by US leaders. The war was a manifestation of Cold War paranoia and power struggles. The book serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of war and the devastating consequences of unchecked militarism. It paints a vivid picture of the suffering endured by both soldiers and civilians. Chomsky's analysis encourages readers to reflect on the lessons of Vietnam and to challenge future attempts to justify military interventionism. It calls for a more critical examination of government narratives and a commitment to peace. Section 7: The Power of Propaganda and the Manufacturing of Consent. Central to Chomsky's argument is the concept of manufactured consent, which he explores extensively in Rethinking Camelot. This concept refers to the way governments and powerful institutions shape public opinion through the control of information and the use of propaganda. Chomsky argues that the media plays a crucial role in manufacturing consent, often uncritically relaying official narratives and marginalizing dissenting voices. He contends that this manipulation allows for the pursuit of policies that benefit the elite at the expense of the majority. Rethinking Camelot serves as a call to action, urging readers to become more discerning consumers of information and to challenge dominant narratives. Chomsky emphasizes the importance of critical thinking, media literacy, and active citizenship in holding power to account. Section 8: Chomsky's Enduring Legacy, a Voice of Dissent. Noam Chomsky is one of the most influential public intellectuals of our time. His work has had a profound impact on fields ranging from linguistics to political science to media studies. Rethinking Camelot exemplifies Chomsky's commitment to challenging conventional wisdom and speaking truth to power. He has consistently critiqued US foreign policy, corporate power, and the role of the media in a democratic society. Chomsky's work has inspired generations of activists and scholars to question authority, demand accountability, and fight for social justice. His voice of dissent remains as relevant and necessary as ever in an era marked by political polarization, misinformation, and the erosion of democratic norms. Section 9: The importance of rethinking Camelot today. Rethinking Camelot remains a timely and important work, offering valuable insights into the dynamics of power, propaganda, and the importance of critical thinking. Chomsky's analysis of the Kennedy administration and the Vietnam War serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of holding leaders accountable. In today's world, where misinformation is rampant and political polarization is on the rise, Chomsky's message is more relevant than ever. His work encourages us to question everything, challenge authority, and engage in informed and critical thinking. By revisiting the myths and realities of the Camelot era, we can gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shape our world and our responsibility to create a more just and equitable society.